absolutely untrue.
Uh-huh.
But it gets people riled, which is the purpose of rumors.
Is there any conflict with that?
Well, no. Tear this one up. It was stapled to the back of another bill. so-
Oh, this one, okay,
Yeah.
okay, so, oh, okay, there we go, okay. When you noticed it, we were so close to what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Oops.
So how was the picnic in the park? Did you go?
I didn't go. Sarah went and covered that. I guess it turned out well.
Oh, thank you.
Good.
All right, we are back from lunch. It is 2 o'clock. And next on the agenda was just basically homework, or just the paper trail. Search and rescue, truck purchase, new or used, and funding source. What we need to do is, what was it, last Thursday, or the Thursday before, the commission was approached by Search and Rescue. They had a deal where they could get some really great trade-ins for the trucks that they have. They're not working so great, towards a new or a used truck. They needed an answer by that Friday afternoon. And so Brandon came to talk to me personally downstairs, and then called Elaine and Franklin to let them know that they needed to get an answer to me so that we could move forward via email. That happened at the end of the day Friday. We were able to get the truck for them by the skin of their teeth, or our teeth, skin of somebody's teeth. So this is, in any other situation, it would have been managerial under that department head. As Search and Rescue is kind of coming up from the ashes and starting to rebuild, they don't have any money, so that's why it came to the commission. So we need to vote on 2 different things. One is to purchase either the used or the new truck, and the decision was made via email to go with the new, but we need it on the record. And then the other thing is the funding source, which has to be determined as well.
I'll make a
So,
motion that we go with the new truck for search and rescue.
I would second that. That truck, used truck down here, Broadwater Ford, came out of an auction. So they don't know any background to it. So I was a little nervous about a used one being as active.
I was, because of the amount of mileage.
Yeah,
and
too many
it's
miles.
in
for
short
it.
of time, so you almost bet that the brakes and everything on it, it probably hasn't been serviced well. Without looking at it or trying to find out anymore, it just made me nervous on it.
Well, I
A
was
new
the
one's
same
gonna
way.
last them for 20 years, won't it, Elaine?
It should, if they take good care of it, and I
Yeah.
think they will. You know, if you figure 20,000 miles a year on your vehicle, that's about par for the course. But this had way, way, way more than that.
About 60.
So I was really nervous about that, so that's why I said, when Brandon called me, I said, tell Laura and Franklin that I'm voting for the new one, but I'll go with the majority. So that's why I said what I did.
all right.
You know, did it cost more? Yes, it did. But will it be less in the long run? We don't know. I can only guess. So,
All right. Any more discussion on it? I don't know if this should be at the end or now, but my arguments for the used truck were that being that many miles, it was probably highway miles, which doesn't scare me. The workmanship on vehicles today as compared to 20 years ago is actually quite good, and vehicles are expected to travel now, you know, well over 200,000 versus 100,000 miles from years ago. My car has 250,000 miles and it's running just fine right now, so used doesn't scare me. A lot of miles says highway miles versus hard miles. So I did think the $7,000 is the difference, and I think that that money could have been put toward training or other equipment. So that was my argument, no, just for the record. So with that, all those in favor of the motion to purchase the new vehicle for search and rescue signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. But I think it's clear that all three of us were for helping out search and rescue.
Oh, yes.
Because you can't call out search and rescue for search and rescue. It just doesn't look good.
And it's a four-door, and they have so many members now. To get people where they need to go, you need more room than just a plain old pickup like we used to call that.
The other thing is I'm going to submit the email string for the record, just because this was a little unorthodox. The reason we use email versus telephone is because there's a paper trail. If there's greater transparency, you can see exactly what was said. Everybody's comments are on the record, rather than going to a hearsay type situation with a phone call. So I will be submitting those for the record for you, and I have them with me. So the second thing we need to vote on is the funding source. The first email sent out, I had gone to Debbie, the accounting manager, and asked her, okay, where exactly are we on PILT? She gave me a full report. I included that in the first email so that you guys would have all the facts. And so at the time, the vote was 2 people voted yes, we should take the money from PILT. At this point, we are looking at about 1.1 million in that fund. That does include the CIPs. And then 1 opposed. The reason for taking it out of PILT is for capital expenditures or unforeseen circumstances, and that's what this was, certainly a capital expenditure. So,
I'll make the motion to go with PILT. I firmly believe that PILT was set there for us to use discretionally, and I felt like this was, met all the qualifications for that.
Yeah, while we're on the discussion, it was misled. I said I didn't want to take the PILT money that was set aside for the restrooms / meeting room for that there'd be another funding source. And I guess I should have stated PILT, but that's what
Yeah.
it is, so I would just clarify that.
so I will second the motion. All those in favor of using PILT to pay for the truck for search and rescue at $32,559 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion
That's what I
carries
said before.
unanimously. All right, good.
Did I not say it right, Elaine?
Well, it came out in the email that you were saying no.
I know it, that's why I explained it now what it was. Not to use the PILT money that was designed for proposed for that bathroom meeting. It had to be other funding. I should have said right on there, other PILT funding, but I didn't, and so I guess there was some confusion, but I can't see how, that's the way it was, that's the way it is, and I'll stand by it.
Okay, so I think that subject matter is finished. I think we have no question or no, we have to go with clarity. So, you know, now that that's cleared up, I think we're all on the same page. I will put unanimous vote.
When PILT will be here?
I don't know,
Ready.
I thought it'd be here already.
Yeah, I guess it probably is at Broadwater Ford, it just probably needs some.
Well, they're waiting for the final decision.
No, they're not. I talked to Mike on Friday. I said, what do you need? This is what we're gonna do. He said, absolutely nothing. We're good to go. Everything is done. So, no, they're not waiting on anything. This is just paperwork. It has nothing to do with Broadwater Ford, and they're well aware of that. Mike and I talked at length on
Well,
Friday
So are
afternoon
they
about 4:30.
waiting to get it all?
I would
decals
guess
and
maybe
lights?
extra towing package. I don't know.
That's the things they talked about at the meeting,
But it
different
has
things they're gonna
nothing to
put
do
on
with
and
that
stuff.
meeting.
And one of the search and rescue members says, hey, we were gonna talk about it yet, we don't actually have it yet.
Right.
Well, and they won't until all that
And
stuff's
when
on it.
explaining what was taking place.
All right, I think that is all we have.
Madam Chair, could I get a point of clarification?
Yes, you may, Tim.
I'm just, as I understand from the conversation today regarding search and rescue and this pickup, and I come in late, I apologize, maybe I missed it. But understanding that today was the day to approve funding per the agenda for the pickup. So how could search and rescue already be planning needed accessories, et cetera, and or doing whatever with that pickup before even knowing if they could get funding to purchase the pickup?
You did
That's
miss
what I
the,
mentioned to you.
I missed something.
right, you came in late, that was addressed. This was a situation where a week and a half ago, Deputy Harris contacted the three of us, me in person downstairs, these two by phone,
Okay.
and said there is a great deal for search and rescue right now. We can get much more for trade-in for two vehicles that aren't working very well towards the purchase of either a used truck or a new truck.
Okay.
We would like to do this, it has to be done by tomorrow. This would have been just business as usual for a department head, had their budget been able to support it. Search and rescues can't, it is bare bones, they're building from
Understood.
the bottom up. So they came to the commission. The commission then made a decision very quickly, much like an emergency decision would be. Then we put it on the agenda, then we take care of it like we are today.
Okay, thank you.
However, no, I'm gonna finish. What you didn't know, and what was explained, and this is the crux of your question is, Broadwater Fork was given a phone call that Friday, and they were informed then, the county is going to go ahead and purchase this truck, go ahead and do what you need to do, what more do you need from us? Broadwater Ford said nothing, you're good to go, it's official, the truck is now yours. Now, the reason it's not in the garage is not known to us, but it has been a done deal for 10 days, roughly.
Okay,
So this isn't something where they were waiting on this paperwork. This is our job, not theirs. The
Thank you.
two are totally separate.
Well, and I think they're getting decals and lights.
More than likely, they're getting some additional.
That's what they had all talked about. The same thing, they were talking about service body, different things, and one of the search and rescue members said, hey, we better not do anything, we don't actually have this pickup yet.
thank you.
And that's what took place.
The
They're
search
just
and
finishing
rescue, Franklin, that's where you step in as a member of the commission to inform search and rescue. No, that's not the
Lynn
case.
told what was taking place.
Okay, good.
I didn't have to say
So
it
hopefully
well.
there's no misunderstanding there.
Sorry I asked.
No, I'm glad you did, Tim. This is stuff that needs to get out here. This is part of the learning curve that a new commissioner goes through, is understanding the process. There is a process that we go through, and what we try and do is work with agencies like Search and Rescue as closely as we can to get them the equipment they need. That's what they did. Sometimes with those groups or members of, there's a misunderstanding of how we get from A to B. And that's our jobs when we liaise with these, to inform them of the process, how it works, and the facts on the ground. So that's what we're doing also for you today, is letting you know what the process is and how it works. So if you have any more questions, we're happy to answer those, but I think we need to make sure we all understand what the process is so that we can share that with others at other meetings as well.
Madam Commissioner,
Yes, Cheryl?
you said you have 1.1 million in the PILT account. How much did the county receive for the 2015 fiscal year?
I don't know exactly, but 573,000. I'm not sure if you round up or down, I don't remember what the other numbers were.
Almost 575,000.
Right, yeah. So at 2:30, we have a tour of the detention center. Is there anything else for the good of the order before we go on our tour? Mike and Nick will be going with us.
I have a question.
Yes, Trudy?
With regard to the request still going on for new office space and storage space, for mosquito, for weed, for bathroom, for search and rescue, wasn't all of the requests submitted on what those departments needed when the Perry building was up for discussion?
Mhm.
So shouldn't that already have been there and could have been handed or given to Sean without delay? Because it seemed like they were all submitting it, either new request or,
Not new, more detailed. They submitted those requests months ago for the Perry building, you're absolutely right. But the parameters they were looking at then were a little bit different. So what Sean is working at with is a little bit different than what they were focused on back then. So he's just getting more details all. He's been given all that information, from the work with the Perry Building. So now what he's doing is just getting more detail,
Fine.
clarifying, fine tuning, yeah. Yeah, it's just part of the process. Anything else on that? You look like you still have a question.
Well, I'm just wondering how long is it gonna take for the commission to make a decision this time based on last time, and they let the building get away, and $4,500 or so was spent in a study to determine what some of the best sites would be
That
for it all to go down the
4,500
drain, basically.
That 4,500 was not wasted money because it wasn't only a study on the Perry Building, a study on all of the different options.
Well,
I think there
it
were,
was a waste of money because the commission took too long to make that decision and nothing happened, and they're still in the same boat. 6 months later, nothing ever came up that these departments still needed anything until search and rescue came begging for a bathroom again. So I'm just concerned that we're spending more money for another study that,
we're not doing another study. We're relying on the first study, and it's not a waste of money because it investigated 6 different options, not just the Perry Building. So that information is being used now for what Sean is putting together. The idea that Sean came up with is not one that we had back then. So what he's taking is the study information and plugging it into this new information to try and marry the two. And that's where there's some fine tuning that needs to be done. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We took way too long. That was when all this commission could do was fight, and we didn't get our job done, and we lost an opportunity, and we spent money that shouldn't have been spent, and we didn't have an opportunity to save money that we could have. I hope that this commission has entered a new phase of cooperation and actually working together to get our job done. With that being said, Sean's gonna be coming back to see us next Monday, and I hope at that time we will actually be able to get some things done rather than fighting amongst ourselves on fighting our own agendas. That is absolutely not okay for this commission. This county has got to be the only agenda, period.
do you foresee something being able to happen? And if not, where the search and rescue are gonna be with the bathroom?
I'm gonna shoot that to my fellow commissioners. I think I'm pretty much on the record as far as my thoughts. Franklin, you wanna take a shot at answering?
Yeah,
that?
I will, that should have been done by now. It was approved last, months and months ago, and it, nothing, anybody else that gets approved, they don't have to come back and say, oh, we're gonna do this now. It was all done in a package deal, and anyway, it wasn't done, and it should have been. That plain and simple.
Elaine, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, and I think that maybe there was some growth amongst us all in this time, and I don't know that it was all bad. And bad in the way that search and rescue doesn't have their bathroom yet, but it's coming right quick. But looking for a perfect place, the Perry Building wasn't the perfect place, and we all know it. It was gonna be a Band-Aid for a gunshot wound. And so we're going forth now and seeing if we can do it.
Then, I mean, if that was your feelings, it was that your feelings then, that it was a Band-Aid and not a good move, and if so, why didn't we hear that? And
Because I was still deciding.
it's my understanding that solid waste had the money to do it on their own, and they were just trying to get the blessing of the commission. And I've seen remodels done because they had money in their budget and the commission gave their blessing, but here we sit in the same predicament we were over 6 months ago.
I think you'll see the new building come quick. And it will be a better building for the betterment of everybody.
One thing with the Perry Building, and I had stated this months ago, and so had Tom Austin with the Solid Waste Board, is the Perry Building was never an exact perfect fit. We all knew that. But what he had said, it made a lot of sense. What we would have been doing at that time is making it fit for the county, but it was an investment. That was 5 city lots with a good building. We would have answered our needs, then we would have had a chance to take, 10, 15 years to figure out what exactly our growing needs were and it was going to be an investment that would have increased in value, especially with what the county would have done with it. It was a good opportunity for Broadwater County back then, and you're right, we just couldn't get the commission to move forward on it. I'm glad that we have a private business in there now. I think he's helping the county, he's got some jobs he's bringing to the county, but I think that was one of this commission's more inept periods, and it certainly shows. Now, as far as what we need to understand as commissioners is the details are extremely important in what we do. As far as search and rescue coming together and really needing that bathroom, yeah, that's a big piece of this. And it doesn't look good for this commission or this county that the others were left to languish. Chemical being improperly stored was left to languish, but we couldn't get off the dime to agree on something until search and rescue stepped forward. I don't think that's very healthy for this community, but we have a strong partnership with search and rescue and all the other entities now, and that's why I believe we will finally be able to move forward on this. But the details. These are the minutes from January 27th, 2014, and it clearly states that the money was not appropriated for the bathroom for search and rescue. Mike Myers Maintenance reviewed expenses to potentially be paid from the Pilt Building CIP. This is when he was looking for money to be put into that CIP for potential projects. Some pre-approved and some not approved. Work to be done in county buildings, increased hours worked in detention center and other county offices apart from the courthouse. Expenses that were paid from his budget but not budgeted for. Proposals for search and rescue bathroom and meeting room. His request to rent a skid steer to move soil on the east side of search and rescue building to alleviate the water accumulation and freezing problems was approved. His request to rent a skid steer to move soil was approved. That's it. So we have got to be aware of the details and intelligent enough to share just those details. Putting our own personal agenda in this is not okay. We are a team and we need to work as such. I'm going to include those for the minutes, for the record. So we have a 2 o'clock.
Also on the
2:15.
record, we'll put in there that, says the chemicals being illegally stored, they weren't, there's a perfect container where they're in. There could have been a
Improperly.
little bit of advanced protection with an extra breaker and extra heater, as we had talked about. But otherwise, and everything met all the DEQ where they had out to get inspected, and everything met all the criteria.
Department of Agriculture inspected it. It's not illegal, it's inappropriate. There is a difference, but there's still a liability issue this county is hanging out on. These are serious issues, Franklin. Anyway, any other questions? Okay, this meeting's adjourned. Ann, would you take these down to Tammy? And we'll go ahead and work on any details after our tour. Thank you.
If some of you people want to look at those claims,
Yeah,
if you do, I'll stay here, I won't go to the detention center.
okay.
The only thing I haven't seen is that new wall in there, wouldn't mind seeing that, but I'll see it sometime.
These are gonna go down to Tammy so she can get them processed. So
I can
those
tomorrow.
to you.
Well, I have it down there, how long is it gonna take the people to go through it, 10 minutes?
Franklin, are you a member of this commission?
Yeah. Are you?
Okay,
We have-
guys.
We have on the agenda a tour. I'm just gonna run these across the street.